All right, Shalom, Micah. First and foremost, I'd like to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahushai, Bahasham, Raha, Kodash. I'd like to give double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. I'd like to say Shalom to the elect that teaches the word in all true faith and sincerity. And today, I just want to tie this lesson. That crazy guy was right. And I'm going to put in parentheses Noah, because Noah is a perfect example of how this the ministry is being played out today. That's one of the reasons why our Lord Yahweh Shai, compared, that time to this time as well. It was a strange teaching, concerning the destruction of that place. And a thing that was never heard of, which was rain. And it actually took place. But they knew he was right when it actually took place, man, at the end of the day. So it's gonna play out in this profession in this lifetime. Because it tells you this is going to be the second death. It ain't going to be no debates of, how people, you got these different devils that debate how the flood took place, and they might present it as a primitive time, or it was just in a region. Well, in this time, the Lord going to do to this place, man, it's not going to be no debates, man. So let's start out with this, the book of Acts, the 17th chapter, because this is a strange teaching, man, concerning the destruction of America, the whole landmass, as well as other parts of the earth. And before they even take place, all hell is going to break loose. There's going to be a famine like no other. There's going to be wars on all levels, race wars, neighborhood wars, food war, all the way up to the climax of world war. The beasts of the field judging, fowls of the air, newly created creatures, and a plethora of other things is going to cause distress and anguish that's beyond human comprehension. But also there's a balance to it. How there's going to be particular spirits on the planet Earth that's going to, be delivered from these things, man. So as a whole, this teaching is strange, man. From, like I said, escaping the famine, all the way to actually escaping that fire by being beamed up in so-called UFOs, which are the chariots, man. So let's get this, the book of Acts 17, and I start at 18. It reads, then certain philosophers of the Epicureans and of the Stoics encountered him. So he was getting resistance, And some said, what would this babbler say? Others, some, he seemed to be a setter forth or strange gods, because he preached unto them Yahweh Shai and the resurrection. See? So it was strange unto them. It was they were able to grasp the message of Yahweh Shai and the resurrection. And that's just one aspect of the gospel, man. Like I said, the other part is the destruction and how it's going to take place. Another part is the deliverance. Just us coming into this truth being a bridge to our salvation. That's another part that people can't grasp, man. It says, and they took him and brought him unto Areopagus, saying, may we know what this new doctrine whereof thou speakest is? For thou bringest certain strange things to our ears. We would know therefore what these things mean. So there are strange things to them. It was foreign. And that was concerning Yahweh Shai and the resurrection. So how much more in this lifetime, where these people are, where pride is at its height, and whoever heard such a thing as America being destroyed, whoever heard such a thing, a famine is going to take place where, in the day's time, you gotta by the tip of your finger, literally, food can come to you in 15 minutes at your doorstep. People don't see that happening. People don't see. Matter of fact, because let's get this in the book of Psalms 49. Psalm 49 and 11. Their inward thought is that their houses shall continue forever, and that concerning the so-called white man, the bankers, you know, the so-called white man as a whole. Because even this nigga's agenda got 2100 on the calendar. By 2100, he's going to be doing this. But that thought, that spirit has trickled down to just a regular American, man. From American Moabites to American Israelites. They got that same thought process that this is going to be forever. It said in their dwelling places to all generations, they call their lands after their own name. See? So they believe that there's, it tells you that in Isaiah 47 as well. Matter of fact, let's get that. Isaiah 47 in verse 7, it says, "And thou sayest, I shall be a lady forever." See? I said it started with these bankers, their thought process, they think that this, I trickle down to just a nigga, that this is just going to continue to be here, man. It says, "So that thou didst not lay these things to thy heart, neither didst thou remember the latter end of it." See? Because this is ultimately going to come to an end, man. See, all this is going to stop, man. It's going to come to a screeching halt. And that's what those people, they scoffed at Noah, for that, because they was pretty much flourishing. They was living it up. Oh, matter of fact, let's just get it, matter of fact. St. Matthew 24. Banqueting and, the same thing that's going on today. So you think they wanted that to stop? But it did, suddenly. St. Matthew 24. And I start at verse 37. "But as the days of Noah were, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be." See? For as in the days that were before the flood, see, they were eating and drinking, married and giving in marriage, until the day that Noah entered into the ark. See? So they was flourishing. They was living it up. It was in the back of their mind, ain't no way. Then the rain part was really, was the kicker though. The rain, him presenting that it was going to rain, because it never did, before that time. Matter of fact, let's get something real quick and that lets you know it was a build up to that moment. We read, let's get that. It was a build up to that when you read Genesis. I think it's Genesis, the 2nd chapter. Let's get this real quick. Bear with me. I thought it was Genesis 2. Yep, Genesis 2. Yeah, Genesis 2, verse 5. It says, "And every plant of the field before it was in the earth, and every herb of the field before it grew," it says, "For the Lord power had not caused it to rain upon the earth, but there was not a man to tend the ground. But there went up a mist from the earth and watered the whole face of the ground." See, so it was a mist that came from the earth to water the earth. There was no such thing as rain in that time. So that was why that doctrine back then was so strange. It sounded so crazy, and in the midst of him doing it, telling you what's going on, he building the ark. You know what I mean? It was detailed. It wasn't just no any wood thrown together. It wasn't no any pitch that was thrown together like it was on the fly. It was a blueprint that he laid out before the people, man. And it was so crazy to them, you know, especially, they, you know, living it up to a certain extent. And like I said, it was an actual system back then. Matter of fact, let's get that. It wasn't like to each his own caveman primitive type of thing, man. That was an actual system in that time of Noah. You know, it wasn't none on the fly. It was an actual order that was. It was a certain vibration on planet Earth according to the ones that had the say so in that time, man. That's why it tells you that the imaginations of man was only evil continually. That's concerning how they ruled and governed during that time. The same thing you see today. So this is the book of 2 Peter 3, verse I started 6. It said, whereby the world that then was, being overflowed with water, perished. See, so that world that then was, that was concerning an actual age, an era, a period of time. A certain government was ruling during that time, but it was under the banner of wickedness. It says, but the heavens and the earth, which are now, see, that's concerning the rulers of that's now, which in that time when Peter was saying it was the Romans. But now it's not reserved when he wrote that. Now it's talking about now because these the same niggas that ruling. The Romans, this revised Roman Empire, which ultimately is the so-called white man. The heavens and the earth, which are now by the same word, see, the same doctrine, are kept in store, reserved on the fire against the day of judgment and perdition of ungodly men. See? So we saying the same thing Noah saying. And it sounds crazy, just like how it sounded crazy back then. It sounded so far-fetched. They said the rain, and it never rained. They probably breaking it down to them. That's why, the mist, going into the midst of the earth. You know what I mean? Not knowing that ultimately the Lord was going to open the heavens up on them, man. But you got that same resistance today. We can talk about the destruction of America, how it's going to be by the way of World War III. Then they'll come with a rebuttal. Well, it's not this many missiles or, all these different rebuttals to downplay the doctrine and make it sound crazy. But ultimately, what happened at the end of the day? They knew not until the flood came. After, let's go back to that. That's when they knew he was right, man. He was so crazy to the end. Let's read this again. St. Matthew 24, verse 37. It says, but as the days of Noah were, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be. So we once again in that time of Noah. Even periods of times are reincarnated. But we once again in a time of Noah. Oh, it also tells you that when we read Sirach 44, that time of Noah was also known as a time of wrath, where the Lord Yahweh Shema Shah was going to pour forth his judgment, man. We once again in that time. Or tells you he's going to pour out his fury. So it says, for as in the days that were before the flood, they were eating and drinking, marrying and giving in marriage. See, you got a restaurant on every block. Like I said, everything is literally at the tip of your finger. Even marrying and giving in marriage, you got dating apps, and you ain't even got to go to it. The boss can come to you or whatever, man. We in that time. It says, until the day that Noah entered into the ark and knew not until the flood came. Noah gave them a heads up, man. But they didn't know he was right until it came, man. They didn't understand it. They couldn't grasp the message until it ultimately happened, man. You know, it says, and knew not until the flood came and took them all away. So shall also the coming of the Son of Man be. And then, and this flood and this lifetime is gonna be in stages. You know, just like how back then it tells you during the flood it rained 40 days, and it notes and the waters increased. Then it said, and the waters exceedingly increased. Because that was in stages, man. You know, it ain't like everybody died